See where it says connecting up there? Then it'll say live.
Okay, yeah, I do see
They can
connecting.
see
Okay.
us. They can't hear us.
Okay, got it. You're a pro in this.
There we
Oh,
go.
we're live.
Yes,
We're
we
live.
are. Hello, everyone. Hello, Substackers. This is Kathleen Thorne with Transform to Wellness, and I've got a special lady with me here today. I've been waiting this for a long time.
Yes.
This is Claudia Vidal, and I'm just going to say a few things about her and then let her say hello to you, if that's okay. Claudia is with Heartful Living on Substack. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Got to join, got to join. It says that you write for those who feel too much and carry too far. I'm one of those people. Still loving deeply, afraid of losing themselves, trusting that the heart reveals the way.
That's
That
right.
is amazing. You're a writer, you're intuitive, empathic, you're highly just a healer, I would say.
Oh.
You've helped me so much,
Oh,
and
thank
a mother of
you.
four. And I just want to say thank you. I've been waiting for this for a long time, and I'll let you introduce yourself to people here.
Well, thank you. That was such a warm welcome. And yes, we've been waiting for this forever. But I believe timing is everything, and this is probably the right time in this moment. Thank you. Thank you for opening the space for me. It's been so great working with you. And I want you to know that it's been also a gift from you to me. It's not just one way. I learned from you, I've grown from you, and not just in the way that you offer your services or the things that you do, but also like just your sharings of what you're going through in this time, in this period of your life. And yeah, I'm here. I started just putting my thoughts in this publication. I never intended it to be seen, to be honest. If you would have asked me 6 months ago, I was like, oh no, this is just a place for me to just like release some of my thoughts, share some of my ideas. But yeah, slowly, people started subscribing and like asking questions. And I have kind of like let it go with the flow and see where it goes. And here I am today. I thank you for pushing me to come to the space because I'm more like the behind the scenes, like, oh, I stay right here. But yeah, and in terms of family life, yeah, I'm a mom of four, and I also co-parent two adult children with my husband. They're adult now, but they were kids. So big family. We're 8 in total. I also come from a big family of a lot of siblings, and yeah, I'm just like someone full of life and with a lot of thoughts and a lot of opinions about life itself.
Yeah, you are amazing. I want to welcome
Yes.
Molly and Stephen and
Yes.
Sherry. Hey, Sherry, how are
Hey,
you?
Sherry.
Alex, let me put my glasses on. Alex, thank you all for joining. Christine, Aline, Kendra, thank you so much for joining. Well, there's some things that, I mean, you're gifted in so many areas. And so I do want to talk about what the heck is going on because, through, thank you, Sherry,
Hi, Sherry.
through things, you're just gifted in that way. But I wanted to start out and just read something, and it's from your art, if you don't mind. It's not
Sure.
long,
Yeah.
so people,
Yeah.
if they haven't read the article yet, they need to go
Mhm.
read it. It's
Thank
what
you.
led you here and still does, and it's called The Unfolding of Heartfelt Living Through My Life, Your Life.
Mhm.
I'm just going to read a
Mhm.
couple things, and then you say what
Sure.
you want to say. So there was so much great stuff in here, but things that stuck out to me were, it said heartfelt living. You said heartfelt living moved through me when I wasn't only a sister, but raised my younger siblings. When I looked into a friend's eyes and saw my own story reflected. When I held space for grief, anxiety, gratitude, joy, all of it. When I came close to death and still chose to feel. And then you say, it came through years I spent trying to specialize, trusting to be just one thing until I realized that what looked scattered, gardening, baking, designing, writing, counseling, drawing, it was actually a system, a rhythm, a language I hadn't learned to trust yet. And then you put heartful living came through the gaps,
Mm-hmm.
the transitions, the memories that kept rising from somewhere I couldn't name, moments I used to ignore until I noticed they were the only ones that felt like home. It
Yes.
wasn't a brand, it wasn't a breakthrough, it was a return. Hi, Brandon. Again and again, I kept finding myself at the same threshold. This time, I stayed, and everything started transforming. It goes on and on. I mean, every article that you write, it's amazing. Do you want to tell us a little
Thank
bit about
you.
that? Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I'm so glad you chose that one because I feel like it's really like where I'm at and where I've been 30, 20 years ago and when I suppose I'll be 20 years down the road. It's that dynamic process of just being alive and living. You know, sometimes we are so focused on these goals and regrets in the past and the future and people tell you, oh, be present. And, you know, you hear all these things. And what I
Mhm.
am learning as I get older is that it's all circular, you know, that it's not so much linear because if you focus on that linear path, it's almost like you're always going to be stuck somewhere, you know, and you're going to be stuck in the past. You're going to be stuck in planning for the future, or you could even stay stuck in the present, as beautiful as it is, and not plan for the future or even reflect on the past. And I think that that's where I'm coming from in a lot of my sharings. It's in
Mhm.
the what is happening in terms of connecting the patterns. You know, like everything is not isolated as it may seem. So I've come from a place that is so much different, almost unrecognizable than where I am today. And yet it all led here, yet it all relates,
Mhm.
yet it all connects. And it's almost like a part of the puzzle, you know, that I couldn't see when I was 9, that I couldn't see when I was 11, I couldn't see when I was 21, and I still can see today as I reach 40. It's almost like I'm just here playing and enjoying and experimenting and just exploring and seeing what else shows up for me. And that has been the transformation that I think I feel more comfortable with right now, where it doesn't feel like force. It doesn't feel like I'm just kind of like listening to anyone, but my own gut, my own intuition, my own sort of soul speaking through me, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. I want to say hello to Daniel and Elizabeth and Brandon
Yes,
and
hello everyone.
Sheila. I don't have an extra thing up, but for everybody being here, thank you so much. Um, when we met, I mean, I know you joined, it looks like Substack November 2024, November 8th,
Mhm.
2024.
Mhm.
And I met you a little bit after that. And the first time we spoke for like 3 hours on the phone. It's
Yes.
like we were kindred spirits.
Yes.
And there were things like I've known you forever and for eternity I will know you. And the things, your perspective and the things that you look at and what's going on in the world and how you can look at it from a different perspective than like the news and stuff like that. You know, I mean, it's amazing. And you worked with me and sent me some things about, you know, what this year was going to hold for me. And I'm like, I'm reading it going, this girl knows me like from the inside. You know, I couldn't believe it. Everything has been spot on. And I do want to talk about that too. Like this is a year of a lot of people are going through grief and things like that. And maybe we could go there now. I mean, you, well, first there was a note you just did and I reposted it. And this was really spot on. You said, you are not ahead of your time. You are the time. The homecoming is now and it's arriving through you. Wow. Wow. Just wow.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And it's like so short, so concise, and yet it's so loaded, and it has so much to do with I think what we're feeling collectively, not
Yes.
just personally. I think that that's what's different this year. So I think we've been going through changes all our lives. We go through phases, you know. Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's the neighbor, your parents. But this year particularly, there's something going on at a collective level, and many people speak about this. And I think that the proof is there. You know, anyone that you ask right now can tell you what is that that's happening to them. There is a feeling of old and new. There
Mm-hmm.
is a feeling of releasing, but fear of releasing, yet excited about the future. There is a lot of plans for the future, you know, the time, right? Being ahead of our time, like we're planning, we're thinking 2026, 2027. Yet it's all related to now. Yes, it's also related to 10 years ago, 30 years ago. So we need to kind of like make these connections. And that's what I'm playing with, because I feel like if we just kind of like think, oh, we're ahead of our time, and I'm planning this product release for 3 years, but we're not taking into consideration our roots, we're not taking into consideration our own homecoming, which is the reflections of each process.
Mm-hmm.
What impact will that have? You know, and not just that's in an event of a product, but what about your own relationships? What
Right.
about your relationship with your children, your partner, if you have children, or a partner, your friends? Like,
Right.
what is it that is wanting to come out of this moment? And yes, it has to do with some of the experiences from the past, but it most definitely has to do with a transformation that's happening at all levels for the
Yeah.
next 2 to 3 years. And I think we all have that feeling of like
Yeah.
shedding, wanting to let go, but being afraid of letting go, and also not knowing why we feel the way we feel, why it feels so uncertain, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. It's something I've been
Mm-hmm.
fighting. I've fought probably my whole life. You know, I've always said, I don't want to be
Mm-hmm.
here. Why am I here? But really, working, just speaking with you and reading your articles and everything, your publication, and with others, I've found out that, I mean, we're here because we're supposed to be here for just this time.
For
There's a
this moment,
reason we are here, or we
yes,
wouldn't be here,
yes.
right? There's a reason that we're here. And one thing that you brought up, you were talking about, and this was a great article too. It's called The Heart Map for 2025, a letter of intent. And just a couple things I picked out of there. You said personal year of five promises freedom and expansion. Now, is that the fifth personal year? Is that for you, your
Yes.
personal year? So it's for each individual.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay.
we all, depending on our birth dates, will have our own personal year that we're going through. So when I wrote that, I was specifically talking about me. But some of us might have the same personal year. Some of
Yeah.
us might be coming out of it, or
Okay.
we're about to enter it. Hmm.
And so the number five, does that promises freedom expansion is related to the number five?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then one thing that's for all of us, and you spoke about the universal year nine, because 2025, when you add the numbers up, equals nine.
Hmm.
And it urges closures and releases. And you even spoke to me about this, and it's for everyone, a year to go through things that we've grieved, what we're grieving now, what I don't know if it can pertain to the future. I do know with me, and after speaking with you many times, that you know this so well. I love talking with you. I could speak with you for hours and
Oh,
hours. But
thank you. Likewise.
I noticed when you said that, a lot of people are going through the grief from
Yes.
whenever.
Hmm.
And when mom got cancer, I didn't realize it, but the blessing, which, very hard for me to say that, but the blessing that has come out of it is that the grief from my childhood, it goes all the way back to age 9 because that's all I remember. And things have been able to be resolved in a healthy way. And then my nephew committed suicide this year,
Hmm.
and but because of the writing and everything, my family couldn't even believe, like, why are you not crying? I mean, you're not like you normally are. And so I noticed this pattern and I started writing about grief, and you spoke of it. And I think that you're right. This is the year that we're resolving that. I mean, do you want to explain that a little bit better?
Yeah, so I think grief is, it has always been associated with death, and the, I would say, the physical aspect of death, which, as you know, you shared, your family member dying or somebody passing, and we all kind of at some level are familiar with that kind of grief. We all process it differently, right? But we do. The grief that we don't often talk about is the symbolic one. It's the one that it's not physical at all, and that we can experience even with something so minor as maybe an abortion that we did 20 years ago. Maybe it could have been a miscarriage, if that was the case. Maybe it could have been the loss of a relationship that was very meaningful. And relationship could be not just romantic, it could also be a friend, it could be
Right.
a co-worker, it could be a neighbor, I don't know. It can also be the grief of that childhood you didn't have because you
Mm,
had to grow up so fast because you never got to experience that. And I know for me that's something I've been dealing with a lot, being the older sister, having to look after my sisters and having that role all the way till I have my own kids, and then still having that role of looking after someone else. It's taken me a lot to get to this point of like I never really had a fun childhood. I never knew what it was to go to the playground and play just to play. It was more like I have to go to the playground to babysit my sisters,
yeah.
or I have to go to the playground and I get to play, but the moment I'm playing, I have to be hyper alert, to see what's going on. And even being a mom, as much as I love it and as much gifts and blessings I've gotten from it, there are times that you lose yourself in the motherhood itself, and then all these gifts that you had when you were younger, ideas, projects, you put them to the side. You put them to the side, and that's a grieving process that, so I invite everyone to sort of like think about that. Like, what are some of the things that you haven't grieved yet? It's somewhere locked there, and maybe you're feeling it and it does resurface, like I've mentioned in one of the notes you share about the transitions. It does resurface in the middle of those transitions, when we're like thinking, meditating, sleeping, or walking, and that thought comes of like, damn, I remember that time. I remember that time, that was fun. Or I remember how much I loved that. And then it's like we gave it up. And the question is, how did we give it up? Did we give it up consciously? Did we give it up unconsciously? Did we give it up with a proper closure?
Mm,
Or did we give it up because it was taken away from us?
mm.
And I think that this year, that's what I am playing with a lot. And I think that for all of us, it's just a good exercise to think about those things, like all these little moments, even if it was like something that was meaningful, like a promotion at work. How did you lose that? What was your interpretation of it, right? Like, maybe it was meant to be, but what if you thought somebody took your job, or like somebody played you, and that can just create this whole new set of patterns
Right.
that we are trying to take to this new sort of like era, this new era that's trying to open up next year. But how can we take it if we don't work on that? How would that represent the next 30 years of our life, if that
Is
makes sense?
that is that going to go? I guess it'll go through the whole year of 2025. Will that? And I know that we're going to go through grief throughout our lives, but
Hmm.
so next year will be it'll be the number 10
One,
1. So
beginnings.
so next year will be about beginnings.
New beginnings, yes. This is why this year is so crucial. And I don't say this year only. I'm saying all the years that led here. It's not even just now. It's
Right.
looking back as far as even 30 years if you're old enough, or even looking back at your last 10 years. All these gives you clues of what are some of these things, because a lot of it is repetition. That's what rhythm is all about. It's repetition, and we don't see the connections when they happening. But the same way it goes from one, two, three, four, nine, and then we get like a recycle, right? And
Mhm.
we have to, or a reset, and then we have to see what are we carrying cycle after cycle. We could be bringing something from like when we were nine, like you said, when you were nine, and
Yeah.
you're 60 now, and you've been recycling this.
Yes. I remember you said
Hmm.
that to me before as well, that whatever people's beliefs are, right? Whether they believe in reincarnation or whatever they believe in, even if it's not even that, say it's each year, we can carry, if we don't get it resolved, and I'm not saying to the point of perfection because there's no such thing as perfection,
No,
but
of course.
because there's always another layer or another person that comes along, or anything that can happen, any circumstance in our life,
Hmm.
that we're continuously do it. But I think as we let go and deal with the previous ones, it helps us and opens us up not only to so many possibilities, right? It's almost like, and this might stir some people's pot or whatever, but I'm saying it's almost
Hmm.
like being like reborn.
Yes.
And you know what I mean?
Rebirth. Rebirth.
It's a rebirth.
Yes.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
Like a
or either way.
yeah, like a
Yeah.
rebirth, and it's amazing and it's
Yeah.
exciting to me. It's gives me a reason to go keep going forward no matter what happens. No matter it, what a great
Absolutely.
reason to go forward, right?
Yeah, and in a way, it kind of changes our relationship with death, because
Yes.
when we think of the concept of death, it's so scary. But in order for you to be reborn, right, we have to die. And speaking again about that symbolic death, right, and that we do all the time. All the time, we're technically dying, but we just don't really think about it in that way. Whenever we break up a relationship, whenever we relocate to another place, whenever we even when your kids leave and they go to college, these are all forms of death, and that's why I call them, like, symbolic deaths. But the thing is that how are we dealing with these things? Are we just kind of like being rushed? Because sometimes people don't do it I think they do it because they care, but they can rush you through things, and they can kind of say, get over it, you need to work, you need to do this, stop crying about it, stop whining about it. But the thing is that for them, they may not comprehend how it's affecting you because they don't understand what kind of meaning you associated to that experience. So my child going to college might be a total different experience than your child going to college,
Right.
because maybe what if the relationship I have with my kid was mending something from my childhood, and I put all my love and attention there, and
Yeah.
I bet everything there, right? And then now that is being broken up, it's been shattered. So now I have to rebuild myself. And this is when that desperation, and we start operating from fear,
Right.
because now it's like, I'm not letting him go, or I'm going to start being dramatic, and I'm going to start, without even doing it purposely, creating these situations to kind of like get my kid to come back to me. But
Yeah.
why do I want him to come back to me so much? Is it because I miss him? Or is it because I don't know who I am without him? And I think we spoke a lot about that. Who
With
am
my
I
mom.
without my mom?
Yeah.
Who am
Who
I
would I be
without?
without her? It's a big fear.
Yes,
And it
yes.
is I'd have to say it's a fear because I don't know what else to call it. I don't know what else to
Mm-hmm,
call it. We talk about, well, you haven't walked in that person's shoes.
mm-hmm.
Well, even if you have, and I'll use a prime example. My mother and I wear the same size shoe. She gives me her shoes because she can't wear them more because her feet have gotten more swollen and all that. I put them on, and the way that the shoe is formed around her foot, it's so awkward to me because my feet didn't form that shoe. So it's even if you were in somebody else's shoes, you can never have that. It's
You
not
can't.
possible.
It's not. And,
It
and and this is real eye-opening for a lot of us, because
Yeah,
I think even when we can say we're empaths or we have empathy, um, we don't know. We don't, and for us to say that we do, it's we got to take that with responsibility, because we really don't. Like, if I've never been in your situation, for example. I do have a mom, so I can relate to a certain degree to what you're going through, but I've never been in a situation at your level of what you're dealing with. So what does that do to me? It really opens me up to a deeper level of listening. So now, instead of me listening to what I think I know and listening to what everybody else around me has told
mhm,
me, I have to listen to you. And that listening doesn't come beautiful all the time. It doesn't come in like, oh, I'm your friend. It can come with anger. It can
mhm.
come with love. It can come with avoidance. It can come, we're always speaking. Communication
Right.
is a beautiful thing, because we're always speaking through a song, through silence. We speak through silence. And I think that we sometimes give all these meanings to things, and it's just important to maybe just listen.
Yeah.
Listen to what's coming through, even if it's painful,
Yeah.
even if that person is angry at you right now, even if they are discharging whatever it is. I can almost guarantee it's not about you as much as it is about them, and it's whatever they are processing in that moment. And that's another part that has been big for me, learning how to listen to the in betweens. The
Yes.
transitions, the space between the words. Even when someone speaks to me, like I always try to listen to that breath. I always
Yeah.
try to listen to the silence. And even listening to nothing can tell me so much
It can.
about everything, about everything, and that's hard to even grasp in a world that we're overloaded with information. It's like everywhere you look it's information, but like maybe stepping back, it's where it's at. That's why I talk a lot about the gaps and the transitions,
Yeah.
those times that you're not reading, those times that you're not listening to anyone, those are the times that your heart's speaking the most to you.
Yeah. And I think too, I can feel it. I can feel it with others. Sometimes through the screen, if I'm not with them, there was something we did in massage school, and I went to a different kind of massage school. It was very different, non-conforming, we'll just say, here in
Mm,
Gainesville, Florida. And we would sit, we'd walk around opposite, and then we'd get in front of someone, and we sit like Indian style on the floor. And then we would put our hands up, and the other person would do this,
hmm.
however it went naturally. And you didn't speak. And you looked into each other's eyes. And whenever you felt like you wanted to close your eyes, it doesn't have to be at the same time or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Hmm.
natural. And it's, I think the eyes are the key, the gateway
Yeah.
to the soul. You can see something, and I could feel like they're hurt or their love or certain things. And I think that, and it's like we spoke, but we spoke without language. And it was
Yes.
so beautiful. It's like, I think, if I ever find anybody or whatever, decide to be with someone for however long, you know, maybe meeting them that way first,
Yes.
and letting it be nonverbal,
Yeah,
and make that connection, because it's on a different realm,
it
it's on a
is.
different level,
Yeah.
without the words and without the
Hmm.
trying to understand or rationalize or whatever,
Or take notes or break it down, or even
exactly.
I say sometimes I learned this in a class I took a long time ago about listening for what we know in order so that we can dispute and be right. Sometimes we can even get caught up in there, like,
Yeah.
oh, what do I know so I can prove that this person is wrong and they did a mistake, for example.
Yes.
And yeah, that could be valuable. But wouldn't it be much more valuable if we can just kind of like just get to know this person, and then at some point we can bring that up if it's needed, maybe it's not needed, we
Yeah.
can bring it up. But it's so much easier to do what we're trained to do, and I say train because it all depends how we grew up and like the conditioning, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not really our fault. It's
Yeah.
just
The
like
culture,
the
all those things,
culture.
the
Yeah, yes.
family dynamics, there's so many things.
Yeah, and even collectively, the way we live, and what's expected of
Society.
you, it's like so normal that when you do the things that we're talking about, it's like the abnormal. It's like, no, there's something wrong. And people that are introverted, they get criticized a lot for that reason, because people tend to look at them like, but I think it's more the
Yeah.
mystery of like, what are they thinking? Why are they not talking? Like, are
Right.
they like planning something? And I've always heard that like people that don't talk, they dangerous. Like, and it's like people make all these assumptions, and there could be truth. But who's to say that somebody that talks a lot also can be dangerous? I mean, it doesn't.
Right.
I don't think you measure it that way. There's so many other aspects that makes a human, and I think that that's another part of being alive that I'm exploring. Like, what makes us human at all levels, and
Right.
that's why I talk a lot about all of it. It's not just the good or the bad, because I can go there too, where I'm like, oh, this person, but it's
Right.
also the goodness, even in that person that might hurt me.
Right. When you
Is
talk
there
about,
some goodness?
even introverts and extroverts, I'm
Hmm.
both.
Hmm.
I'm
Depending the
I'm
situation, right?
biverted. I guess is that a word? I'm biverted.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's parts of me that I'm introverted about, and
Hmm.
then there's parts I'm very, if I'm teaching or it's something I love to do, or it depends on who you're around and who you meet and the
Yeah.
circumstances and the situation. I could be so outspoken, and then there's times that I'm not. So it just depends. And a funny thing you said about people that dangerous or not. My mom always says, because I am very talkative. Part of it, I think, has to do with for me, the pauses feel uneasy.
Mhm. Mhm.
I just like when I sit with myself and go inside, when I first start to just go inside myself, at first it feels so uneasy. It's so uneasy, that feeling, and that because things start coming up that apparently
Mhm.
I push down and don't want to deal with, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, but once you learn to do that and you do it, then things, it's much easier. And mom always says, my nickname was Chatty Kathy when I was a little girl. And she says, if she gets quiet, and anybody that knows me, if I'm really quiet, something is off
Yes.
and I'm about to go off. She's like, run.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because like I think it's also because we have reflected at some level. Like
Hmm.
you said, things came up and now we're thinking deep about this
Yeah.
person or the situation. So we're more likely to act on it than if we're just busy talking, talking, talking. We're probably not being as like paying attention to that
Right.
situation. And I do agree 100% with you. Like I feel that when I'm the quietest, I'm really doing some deep thinking. And it could be good, it could be bad. It could be great. I can write something and that could be great.
Right.
And then it can also be bad because I might be dwelling into something that is very painful or that caused me, like you said, uneasiness, or someone that did me wrong 20 years ago. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm being triggered right now, right? Um,
I don't want to
these
forgive right now. I'll do it later.
Yes, yes, these moments, we get, so there's value either way. But
Yeah.
the culture, as we said, it's so hard to stay silent. And I've spoken with you many times, and it's beautiful when you talk, but it's always so beautiful when you say these. I don't know how to like even recreate it, but like we'll be talking and you say something about trust, and you just take this pause, and then you'll say like two words and I can see something is happening. There's like some magic, and it's like we're both connecting and we're both like, yeah, there's something about that word trust. And yeah, when we're like just talking about trust and defining it, it might not feel that connected. It may,
Right.
it may not feel so. It's beautiful to be there too.
Yeah. And I trust you, and
Hmm.
I don't trust people, and I have good reason not to. And I've been very defensive, but it's getting better and easier and all of that. But it's a lot of people give trust until something happens and they don't trust. I'm
Hmm.
the opposite. I don't trust. I think there's something behind there, and I'm a very suspicious person. I've
Yes.
always been that way, and a lot of times, I don't know if I'll say 9 times out of 10 now in at this part of my life, but I mean, I've been pretty damn accurate. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I would say it's intuition or
Hmm.
discernment or
Hmm.
whatever. And so, there are some vipers out there, and I'll
Hmm.
squish their damn heads. I'm telling you
Yes.
right now, don't bite me or I'll bite you back. But but something you said, I do want to talk about your publication, but something you said and had to do with love. And let's see if I can try to find it. Yeah, I got it right here. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So when you were speaking about, about the universal year being 9 and closures and all that, you also wrote, and this is in her article, A Heart Map for 2025, A Letter of Intent. You got to read it. I mean, you got to read it. All of your articles are amazing. I
Thank you.
rebirth.
That
I
means a
rebirth
lot.
with each one. You say, that together they form a rhythm of letting go and growing forward, an inhale and an exhale. And then later you say, at the center of all of it is love. Love can, and you've said this to me, love connects everything, cosmic, human, and divine. It's the universal language that reminds me of what's real. And then you had a quote, and you said, the heart imagines differently. Isn't that true? It imagines from love, from abundance, from possibility.
Yes.
I mean, wow. I
Yeah.
mean, it does. Even you said even sometimes anger comes from love.
Mhm.
That it all comes from love.
Mhm.
Now, what type of love or what level of love could be different.
Yeah, and like what is coming with love, right? Because there's so many other emotions wrapped up around it, you know. So like is it like that pure love that's like really pure, what we call unconditional love, right?
Right.
Or is it love that is accompanied by other things, you know, other emotions, other intentions, you know, and that can change everything, even if it's well intent, you know.
Yeah.
So we all have those moments. We've met people, we've hurt people in that way, you know, where it probably came from a good intention, but it was accompanied with other things. Could have
Yeah.
been jealousy, it could have been anger, it could have been sadness, right? It could have been so many other emotions that kind of like intertwine. And then
Right.
it's like it didn't damage the love itself, it just kind of like transformed it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like that unconditional love that you would see maybe when you hug your baby for the first time and it's just pure love, right? It's different. It's probably the one that you get from your teenager when you know he's annoyed by you because you're not letting them get what they want, you know. But it's still love, you know. It's
Yes.
different. It's
Yes.
different.
And love, you don't want them to get hurt. You don't want to make the same mistake
Yeah,
you made. All those
yeah.
things.
Yeah,
All
so
those
there's a
things.
bit of maybe resentment there. There's probably a bit of anger, you know, but there's also that original true love, you know, that
Right.
he felt for me and I felt for him, right? So I think that the beauty of it is that love is always there, and I always say it like we don't have to look for it. It's literally around us. It's within us. It's right here with us in this moment, you know. It's more of like do I choose it? You know, do I choose to be loved? Do I choose to make it my identity right now? You know, and operate from that space. And if
Yeah.
I do, how can this moment be different entirely? You know, because I choose to say, I want to be a loving friend. And if I am a loving friend to Kathleen, how does that change everything? Versus I can choose to just be a mean friend and just kind of like just sit here and just criticize you and judge you and tell you all the things you're doing wrong. But how is that helpful to you
Right.
in this moment? You know,
Right.
maybe it could be helpful later on, but not in this moment that you're probably going through your own processes of
Right.
pain. But yeah, I think that one of the things I wrote that so long ago, but I think one of the things that were in my mind when I was writing that was I think I was thinking about meditation. I've been meditating for many years. And then I took a break after I have my 2 year old now. So after I had her, I've been so busy that I barely meditate now. So I think I meditate like once a week now. So I went from like meditating every day to meditating once a week. And that's hard, like when
Yeah.
you have a family. But when I was meditating back then, I feel like I was meditating a lot from my mind. You know, mindfulness, you know, we speak a lot about that. And there's a lot of benefits. You know, I did get a lot of benefits, but I can say that I am happier now today with the way my body looks, with the way that I am relating to my family, with the way that my dynamics are going on than I was 3 years ago that I was meditating every day.
Mm-hmm.
And is it the meditation? Maybe, maybe not. I think it's more shifting from my mind to my heart. I think that's the difference. Because now, when I do get that moment to meditate, I try to meditate from here. So I'm no longer imagining what I want to imagine. I'm imagining what wants to come through. And that's the way I meditate now. Or like when you say go in the inside, right? So I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like get in the space where I close my eyes and I connect with whatever's going on. And I just pretty much open myself to what wants to come through from here. And I don't know, it's different. It's different. And I think that's what I was referring to about heart, you know, imagining from the heart
Yeah. Well,
versus when I was doing it mentally.
yeah, well, when you speak about
Mm-hmm.
love, and that just comes to me when you speak about love, because this is what I believe, because this is what I've experienced, right? So all I
Mm-hmm.
can say is this is what I believe, because this is what I experienced. The love that comes from here is different than the love that comes from here.
Yes. Yes.
This to
This is the
me,
one that's like engineer.
yeah. I mean, I've never
Yeah.
been in love. I look back, I've been in lust,
Mm-hmm.
every relationship, and I called it love, and it was probably like and lust. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't, because it's been, I call it spiritual woundedness.
I like that.
And I think we all have had it at some time
Mm-hmm.
in our lives. And because of that deep, and I felt it come to me one time when I call it going inside, that there was, that I'm spiritually wounded, and that's where I need to start with that spiritual woundedness. Start there, and then, hey, Karen's here, Betty Bulbrew's here. So it was like starting with that spiritual woundedness, and so I wasn't able to open up in that way. I can open up here. I can open
Mm-hmm.
up in the gut even. I can open
Mm-hmm.
up pretty much anywhere. But
Mm-hmm.
it's this part I want to protect it. I don't want to
Yes.
I don't want to be hurt the way I was, but also looking at it from the perspective of age 9. And I always have to go back to that because I don't remember
Mm-hmm.
before age 9, and I've been through hypnosis. I've been through a lot of things. I can never go back. I can see pictures. So there's something, I don't know if it's in me, I'll take your
Mm-hmm.
suggestion, or if it's something that it's not for me to know. What are your thoughts on that?
I like that. I like that second version of what you said. It's not for you to know, because obviously things did happen. There's a lot of evidence about that. We can like go on a full conversation about why we don't remember things, how it's related to complex trauma, and all these things. But is it necessary for you to know right now? And it is. If it does come through, what are you going to do with it? What is it going to do in this moment for you? Not to say that it won't be worked on later on, but maybe that's the time when it needs to be worked on. And that's one of the things I've been working with my own traumas. Like they resurface every now and then, and they come in waves. And I just accept them and welcome them as they come, but I'm not deliberately trying to force them out
Right,
because I may not be ready. My body may not be ready. My psyche may not be ready to tolerate
right.
it. And it could throw me into like a depression or like an anxiety. I know people that have experienced this, that
Yeah,
they're like healing processes and stuff. And it nothing to do with the healer. The healer probably did an amazing job, but the person wasn't ready. And
right,
and 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 being ready is at different levels. It could have been they were
right.
just not emotionally ready, their body wasn't ready, their psyche wasn't ready. And when we can integrate these things, it can do more harm than it can do
You're right.
well. And we have to explore that and
Yeah,
see. And
I've
this is
seen
the
that.
kind of things that the heart tells us, right? And I think the mind doesn't, because the mind wants to know, it wants to
Right.
investigate.
I want to analyze. I want to know why, where,
Yeah.
how, whatever. The thing is, I think with me, I've come to the resolution that, and this has been hard for me because I like to figure things out, and I'm very
Mm-hmm.
analytical, too analytical, I would say, to my detriment, is that I can't change it.
Mm-hmm.
So it keeps me where we were talking earlier about staying stuck in that, or even staying stuck here.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to stay stuck in the past, or you don't want to stay stuck in the present, like you were speaking of earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
either way, it would keep me stuck. It keeps me
Somewhere.
exactly. It keeps me
Yeah.
stuck somewhere, and I don't want to be
Somewhere.
stuck. I like to keep
Yeah.
moving forward, and growing and learning,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing with you, that if people haven't worked with you, or definitely read your work. There's, like I said, there's a rebirth with every single article I read. There's a
Thank
rebirth.
you.
I'm going back and reading more of your articles. um, it's amazing, and you're just, we all have different gifts and talents, and we can complement each other in different ways, and different people on different levels. And I mean, I just have to say that I'm sure that anybody that's worked with you, or you've spoken with, or anything, that you've changed, you've helped change so much. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for our friendship, and the things that you told me about that were coming, I haven't even experienced that, and I'm reading it going, wait a minute, I'm going to be doing what? The thing about travel. You brought up the thing about I'd be traveling this year, and I'm like, but I can't travel as long as mom's alive. I have to be here. But guess what I've been having dreams about lately? Traveling.
Yes.
I
And
mean,
and
it's an
traveling not just physically, because I think that's what we're exploring too. Like, how does that look like in dreams, as you said, or even traveling in this way? Substack is a
yeah.
form of traveling.
And maybe she doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have to be gone for me to travel.
Mm-hmm.
If I could get somebody in here to do
Mm-hmm.
it with, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
but you're amazing. I wanted to on your publication, I'll go to that again. Something
Thank
that you
you.
something well, you have a couple different things in here, and I love it, and I'd like for you to talk about it if you'd like. One of the quotes you had, you said, "You already know, you felt it before, a quiet pull inside yourself, a breath that finally lands. This is a space to remember." Now, if you look at your publication, you've got like three different things in your navigational bar. So different
Yes.
categories. One, and you talk about this, presence moves through you, steady, quiet, the warmth that lingers, the sound that reaches you before you listen, the shift inside already known. And you have the three sections, and you say a rhythm, a wonder, a homecoming. Each letter is not just to be read, but remembered. If you've been searching, pause, listen, feel, see, breathe. You are home. There is nothing to do, only something to remember. And then your name. So, these three categories, rhythms, wonders, and homecoming. Do you want to discuss what is?
Sure. So that's, I guess, my system.
Yeah.
We all have like something, a system that you want to be known for. It's kind of like what I've built this adult life around and what I've been playing with and what has led me to a lot of these insights. And I categorize in those three pillars. So it's rhythms. And rhythms is just the rhythms around us, paying attention to them. And that can be numbers, that can be astrology, that can be um, aromatherapy, that can be crystals, that can be just everything around us, animals,
Mhm.
engaging with animals, gardening, anything that has to do with the natural world and that has sort of like a pattern of rhythm, the phases of things, day and night, seasons, right? All these things. That's where I get a lot of my insights. So I am trying to align a lot of my lifestyle to these rhythms. So I'm trying to go like with the flow. So as you said, that way not staying stuck.
Right.
So it's winter, am I being winter? It's fall, am I being fall? It's spring, am I being spring? And the same thing when we have the full moon versus the new moon, and the same thing when you're in front of a rock, that just calls you, and you're like, "What is it about this rock or a tree?" Right? So it's just developing that connection and just even exploring and observing animals, their behaviors, what they're trying to tell us. I
Mhm.
think it reflects back a lot of what's going on internally inside of us. So that's one way of me seeing the world. The other way is wonder. I love wonder because wonder is those small things that we tend to overlook because you're busy, you're working, you
Mhm.
are doing 100 things and you don't have time to look at that rose. That is so different than the rest of your flowers. They all this way and then that rose turned out to be pink. Why pink? And then all of a sudden it gets your attention, right? So
Mhm.
I spend a lot of time looking for these wonder moments. And these wonder moments happen with my children. It happens with myself. It happens with my friendships. It happens with conversations. It happens when I'm walking in the garden. It happens when I go to that place that call me, and I just don't know how I ended there. But something told me go to that place, and then I'm in this place and I'm having a connection. So having those moments of wonder, I think, is what is the antidote to the trauma and the pain and the confusion and all the stuff that we just don't understand. It just it just kind of like makes it go away if you think about it. It's like I'm so sad and then here I am with my baby and I'm tuning in with her and holding her, and all of a sudden I'm laughing because she made me laugh, and then the pain is no longer there.
Yeah.
And then homecoming is my reflection process. So homecoming is that circular process of going over and over again to that thing that keeps coming up. And we know it keeps coming up. It just
Right.
shows in different ways. And it's my reflection process. So that's where I write those moments where I'm reflecting. And I'm like, oh, this thing happened to me with all these friends. There has to be something here. And then I start writing my notes. And I feel like we can gain so much from that homecoming,
Hmm.
of saying, that's why this happened. There's something about it that it just makes the new beginning of whatever new phase
Hmm.
more smooth. It makes it more like almost like a segue. Like, I'm ready now.
Right. I see that too in the
Yeah.
writing because I went to each section to see how it was different. And exactly what you just described is each article reflects that in that category.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. And your about page is amazing. So
Thank you.
couple of things. For this year, what we're in August, we're about to be in September.
I know, right?
What can you tell people about, based on numerology, astrology, all these things that you know very well? And I know it's different. Numerology is different for each person,
Mm-hmm.
but according to like the universal numbers and things like
Mm-hmm.
that, like this is a year of nine. What's going on? What do we have to look forward to or prepare for universally
I think that,
and
and
individually?
I started it. Obviously, it changes for all of us. It's different,
Right.
but collectively there's a massive transformation happening, and I think that's what's different from this point. And I think it really started after 2020, but like this period specific that we're in all the way to at least 2028, I would safely say that there is some massive collective transformation happening at all levels. And when I mean collective, we're talking about world
Right.
transformation. We're talking about systems at all levels, from the body system of our own body and our little cells, all the way to the planetary level, and it's so, for people that are really experts in this area and that have dedicated their life to this, it's so beautiful to hear them speak sometimes about these predictions. I don't focus so much on that. I focus more like on what I can learn from it, but it's
Right.
almost so beautiful to see how the predictions are so spot on, because everyone I speak to is going through it. And it's just different for everyone. And it's like you think you're alone and you think you're like, oh, this is all happening to me. But then it's the same story happening over and over again.
Right.
And then when you look at the nations, the US or Europe or every nation, you see how they're going through their own collective transformation. So it is happening at many, many levels. So with that, I say, if this is the time that you can be more intentional than any other time in your life, this is the time. We should be intentional every day,
Right.
but this is the time that is so important to remember our dreams. If we can remember our dreams, write your dreams. If you have a spiritual practice of some kind, and that could be religious, that could be any kind of practice that you do, this is the time to allocate, even if it's once a week, it doesn't matter. If you can connect to nature at whatever level, whether that be in your garden or visiting gardens or going to a park, or even if you have animals, anything that connects you to the natural world,
Hmm.
this is the time. And this is a beautiful time to look at what has happened. I'm going to say specific times, the last 30 years of your life. This is key. If you don't remember, it's hard for me. I was young, so I have to like research. If you can remember, research, find out from your parents, try to see who remembers. If you can remember because you're older, look back. A lot of the things that are happening today happened 30 years ago at some level.
So
Different.
30 years. So if I'll be
We're looking at, yeah.
I'll be
How old are you now?
65. I'll be 65. I hate to
Hmm.
even say that because I don't feel it and I don't act it. I
You look
can't even
great.
believe it. But my
You look
birthday says
great.
that. So 30 years. So that would be at age 35.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't have to be specifically 35. We're
Right.
thinking maybe let's give it like 2 years. So let's say 33 to 34,
I
36,
became a
something like that.
registered nurse. My life changed after going through
You
alcohol,
see,
drugs, everything else. I mean, it
it was
completely
a transformative era, right?
180.
Yep, yep.
But
So
with it came some of the consequences from the years before that I had to deal with.
yes, and that's so beautiful that you mentioned that because you carry those things forward, and the same thing is happening now. We're having another reset, but we have more control because now we have more consciousness of these things, and we can say, I do remember what happened 30 years ago, and I do remember the things that
I
were
do.
painful, and we can work on those things, that are really becoming a thing, that it's like that thorn that is there, but yeah, definitely look at that. Look at the last, also 10 years, I would say 8 to 10 years, have a lot of things started happening from that point.
Yeah.
And particularly for this year, think about everything that happened effective January. I can tell you my life changed in January. And it may not be in the way that people expect, not like I had a baby or something. No, it wasn't like that. It was very subtle. But I've been taking notes. And it has a lot to do with what I'm sharing today.
Hmm.
This came to me, everything I'm doing today. A year ago, you will have not heard me talk about any of this because I was not trying to do any of this. I was very focused on my other stuff. And this came through me and I couldn't fight it. I couldn't fight it. And I did try to fight it. I'm not going to lie, I did. And because I mentioned, I said, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be talking about these things. I did try to fight it. I tried my hardest. And every time I did, yeah, it pushed me more. So pay attention to what's been happening since January, especially, particularly this year. And also look at March, between March 30th and I would say now there was a lot of insights because what's
Hmm.
happening is that a lot of the new things that want to come through are merging with what you have been doing.
And
So
that's for all
what
of us. For every,
yeah,
this is
for everyone,
universal.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
happening. So you have like the stuff that you've been known for, that you've been doing, like what you say you're a nurse, you could be like an accountant, you have all these stuff that you've been carrying with you, the bad, the good and everything, and then
Right.
you have the new that wants to come through. So
Right.
there's a merging trying to happen. The power that we have is that we can
Yes.
decide how to merge it, and we
Yes.
can decide if we want to merge it, and
Yes.
say, so don't feel like you have to let go of who you were, or you have to, like, oh, I was a nurse, I'm going to quit being a nurse, because that's like the impulse that we want to do, like, I want to leave my job. No, I say don't make any drastic decisions until at least March of next year. Wait till next year, but do observe a lot. Observe a lot, pay a lot of attention to your dreams, pay a lot of attention to those transitional moments when you're in the shower, washing the dishes, when you're gardening,
Hmm.
those moments, those insights that have been coming. We all know we've been feeling it. There's something there. There's something there. And it sounds crazy. And it might be, oh my God, I want to sing. And you might be like, no, no. It might be that, it might be cooking. I don't know. I can't tell you because it's different for all of us.
Right. And one thing with you, I see so many things in you. And I'm so glad that you started on this journey and started speaking because, and I wouldn't even call it potential, I'd call it gifts.
Oh, thank
That,
you.
and it's like, but why don't you do this? Or you could do this? Or how about doing this? And I kind of pushed you. I didn't try to push too hard, but there's so many things that you can do. One of the things that you and I've discussed, even that came up, we can nurture. Being a nurse, let me tell you, if I had it to do all over again, I would not have become a nurse. There's a lot of trauma associated with being a nurse. If you're a good nurse and you fight, and I fought the system, I'm holistic. How did I
Mhm.
get into the medical cartel industry? There was a reason, and I got to teach a lot of people, but it cost me a lot.
Mhm.
But we can nurture in other ways. I'm a spiritual mother. I've never had children, right?
Mhm.
We can nurture plants. We can nurture animals. We can nurture the world, the earth, right? So I came up with this thing, and I would love for you to be a part of it. And we've discussed it. And there's a couple other people I have in mind, and I've discussed it with them. Is that I've got 10 acres out in the country, self-sustaining. If the grid goes down, there's no money. We can not just survive, but thrive here. But let's say that doesn't happen anytime soon. What a retreat, a place where people can come and be taught, have workshops, hands-on healing, massages, polarity, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? That space, the thing that I've been running from, I hated Gainesville. I'm like, I don't want to go to back to Gainesville, Florida. I want to go back to Gainesville, Georgia, which are my old stomping grounds, which would not be a good, I'm pretty sure I could resist, but um, I felt it in me. And I'm like, yes, because I was down in Leesburg at the time. Gainesville, I'm going back to Gainesville, Georgia. I'm getting out of Florida. It was like, nope, Gainesville, Florida. I'm like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I fought it and fought it and fought it until, well, George had a heart attack. And mom says, you need to come. We need you here. Well, I mean, I guess I could have said no to that, but I'm not going to. It's not, how I am. Because more for her than for anybody, right? For her. And so I came back and I was telling actually Karen Langston and somebody else about this, that I'm pretty much since 2021 been here on the property. I leave once a week, go to acupuncture, run errands and all that. I've been doing a little bit more, but I always felt this dark cloud when I was coming into Gainesville, like this oppression or suppression over it. And then as I came out to the country out here, I would feel it go away. And I'd say, I hate going to Gainesville. I don't want to go to Gainesville. And I realized that, and I'll use the word diversity.
Mhm,
It's not gender, sexual, or what,
mhm,
but the diversity of people, healers here, tarot card readers. We have so many rock and gem stores you wouldn't believe, which I got my Seraphonite rock from, that you had a vision of
mhm,
to help protect during a certain period of time that I didn't even know. We didn't even know about the cancer, right? All these
mhm.
things that you're telling me. So they have retreats here. There's a lot of nature in Gainesville, even though it's a college town. So it's a very young thing. So when I first moved here in '89, and I was working at the hospital, they said to me two things that can happen when you live in a college town. Which, even though I'm outside of it, when I
Mhm.
go in, it's a college town, right? University system, academic, all that. It'll either make you feel very, very young, or you'll be get very, very old. One of the two. Well, I don't want. I want to be. Most anybody I hang out with, which I don't hang out with many people, but those few that I do, are like 20 to 30 years younger than me,
Mhm.
because that's the energy and that's how I feel.
Yeah, yeah.
65? Are you freaking kidding me? I cannot relate. I cannot. I'll say I'm not emotionally there. And where would you be? I don't even know what normal would be. I'm not normal. I heard a guy on YouTube say once. He says we're all weird,
That's what I was gonna say.
aren't we? Nobody, what
Yeah,
you think is what So,
yeah,
but there's all these retreats. There's all these things I can go to that fall into the things that you and I discussed, that you're telling me about this year for me. And I'm like, how's that going to happen? And I see it. I've been fighting it. And I said, I have to stop saying I hate Gainesville. I
yes.
have to.
Embrace it.
Exactly. And
Embrace
I
it.
started looking in like the college paper and different things and all these things that are coming up. And I'm like, I really like to get back into that again.
Yeah.
I put my life on hold. I put my life on hold really
Mhm,
since 2021. But I don't have to do that. I can still love mother, take care
mhm.
of her, and have my own life.
Absolutely. And it goes back to what we were sharing earlier about who am I without this person. This is
Right.
where that all comes back to. You don't want to be locked in with that identity, of like, once my mom is gone, I'm gone, because you will be gone at some level, physically or symbolic. You will be gone. And there's so much for you to offer. And when I heard you talk about the college kids, I'm thinking, I know when I was 20, I would have loved to got mentored by people. There's so many young people, and these young souls,
Mm-hmm.
they are so interested in tradition. They're so interested in some of the things that we were lucky enough, some of us, whether we were kids or adults, to live 40 years ago, 30 years ago, the world is very different than what it was back then, and a lot of them are not familiar. They don't have any idea. So
Mhm.
it's very old to them, So imagine that. Imagine how much the gift you can be to someone else by just teaching them those things that they won't probably learn in college. They probably won't learn through AI, because
No.
yes, we're embracing to the visions of technology. We can't stop that. It's happening. It's
Sure.
here, but we have to fertilize our roots
Right.
if
And
we want to
speaking of
thrive in the new
roots,
world.
the plants.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
roots.
it teaches you a lot. And I didn't know that you were that interested in gardening or did
Yes,
it yet.
I am.
And the thing is, it's amazing. And every season is different. And of course,
Hmm.
they spray overhead, and it's just part of life now. But it's so different. And things. Here's the thing, Claudia, and I live around thousands of acres of farmland, and some still farm and some don't. Some people live here
Hmm.
that aren't have never been farmers, but people that are growing, they're growing out of season, which is,
Yes,
the farmer's almanac says this, but things, and I know you probably have a lot more intuition and knowledge about what that really means, but
hmm,
things are growing in winter, they're growing in the summer, I mean, it's wild. You don't know
it
what.
is. And you can see how that sort of like you can see how that can sort of show up in our bodies. I'm not a health expert as you are, but you can see how that can affect your gut and your health in all levels when
Mhm.
you are not even eating in season. We're already not living in season, because we go to bed when we go to bed, we wake up when we wake up. We're like
Yeah.
constantly in some type of artificial situation going on, so
Mhm.
we're not even having that lifestyle anymore, and then the food is not helping. So yeah, I think that there's a big interest in that, and like, how can we go back to those roots, those roots that can nourish us, that
Right.
can help us become better, like stewards, or different stewards for the new future, so that we're not just like, we're going into an air element, very mental, and
Hmm.
it's been happening for a while, and many of us are probably feeling it too. We're very up here, very mental, and of course, innovation comes from there. Beautiful
Hmm.
things come from
Hmm.
there, but we need to ground ourselves too. We need to
Yeah.
also connect to the heart. We need to connect to the other elements, not just the mental aspect of it. And this is where a lot of us that are here, not just you and me, but even people that are watching today, anyone that's probably even on Substack, can make a difference.
Hmm.
You can make a difference. So this is a beautiful way to look at maybe the last 30 years, what you've been doing, what you've been exploring, and then think about how can that benefit this new future, the future young people, right? The future, the
Right.
20, 30 year olds that are growing up now and
And
are
I didn't
trying
even think
to.
of that. I was thinking more of
Yeah.
the people that were like suffering with pain at, 40s and 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a new take on it too. And I even had visions and I've had dreams. I'm having dreams. Oh, it's like every night now. And, I've seen people like if, because the house I'm going to inherit's 4,000 square feet, right? One person in 4,000 square foot
Mm-hmm.
is a little much, right?
Yes.
But then I have my house. So what can I do with that? Could I make one of them an educational thing? Where and the other thing, you go in and you go out and you pick your food that you teach them how to grow the
Mm-hmm.
food, in a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And, it'd be condensed workshops and all that, how to pick it, how to cook it, the nutrients in it, all of that, workshops, and so, and my dream was, and you told me this so many times, and I don't mean to be talking about me right now, but somehow it came up.
No, it.
I always say I can do it alone. I don't need anybody. I'll do it alone. Nobody's going to screw me over again and take my money and all that stuff. And you've written in what you've written, it's like, but that's not my path to do it alone. I can't do it alone. And I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
don't say that. I mean, no.
I know you did not want to. I think you wrote like big no when I said that. You were like no,
But the
and
thing
I can
is,
so relate. I've been there, and
yes,
we can get in that space.
yeah,
The trust.
yeah. But the thing is that you and a couple other people I've spoken to, it's like, hey, you want to do it? I got plenty of space. bring your family, come on down to Florida, pick up and come down. Or in the visions that I've seen people come in on planes to do their part of the workshop. And of course, everybody gets paid because
Mhm.
it's a, you know, I don't really want to do where people stay here type of retreat because of the liability. I say that all the time. And,
Mhm.
you don't want to lose what you've worked so hard for, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, I see it. I see it. And now I'm doing everything I do on the 10 acres as I do it is with that in mind, what this is becoming. And I can feel it, I can taste it, I can see it. And that's what it is.
Mhm.
And it's here in the place that I've been fighting to
Yeah.
be, that I'm now accepting. And as I accept it, Claudia, everything is starting to open up.
Yeah, and it's like the connections start forming, and that's like, wow,
Exactly.
that's such a beautiful like story for you to share, because it's the thing we fight the most, and we hear it all the time. All the time we hear it. Even down to the people. I mean, I'm married. I'm sure some people are married here. That's the person you fight the most with. Every single
The
day
one
you're
you
fighting.
love.
You're fighting about the toilet paper, about this, about the pepper, about that. And it's, yet this is your partner that you can co-create basically anything. You can co-create a family, a life, even a business. Some people have done
Right.
that, right? Or you can just choose to keep fighting it, and keep fighting about the toilet paper and this and that. So I learned to trust that. And I have to tell you, like, again, like, 5 years down the road, you have never hear me talking about any of this. I
Yeah.
thought I was weird for it. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be judged. People's gonna think something's wrong with me. So I wanted to fit in as normal as I could. And
Right.
that was like, let me just, do my work, do my job, 9 to 5, deliver the report, do all this mental work. When people that really know me that that's not what I'm known for. The people
Yeah.
that know me at a deep level, and my sister
Right.
tells me this all the time. She's like, you're not meant to be doing all this logical stuff.
Right.
But this is what society tells me I'm supposed to do, right?
Right.
Because that's what they appreciate, and that's what they pay you for. So I wrote in one of my articles about how part of my job I would write grants, and
Mhm.
that's even how it is when you're requesting money for agencies, how
Mhm.
it has to be all about statistics and the data and the logic and how many, a numbers thing, right? And I would get so stuck because I would say, but they don't know the people, they don't know the need. Like, how can they just say, oh, this amount for 10 people? No. So then I started telling my story different, and I would write these proposals, and I would talk about that person, and I will identify that person, and I will say their story, and I will say how that $10 will make a difference. And all of a sudden my proposals get funded, right? So this is just like a perfect example, of like what happens when we just let go of that mental energy, that it's important, it's needed, but it should be channeled, it should be in company with the heart. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be something that's like mental first, heart second. I was told many times that's the way it is. I was told many times, Claudia, forget about your heart. Claudia, close up your emotions. Claudia, you're too sensitive. It's all about here. And I tried that. I did. I did. It didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
It made me very anxious, very stressed, and very unhappy. And when I start opening up more to this side, which I'm still exploring, I'm in a different place.
Yeah. I'm listening to a book because I don't have time to really sit down and read, but I'm listening to a book called Rebel, and it talks about, and this man, he was, you know, doing well for himself, and he had a wife and a young child, and then the crash, everything crashed in
Mm-hmm.
2008, excuse me, not 28, probably in
Mm-hmm.
28 too, but 2000, I'm remembering something,
Yeah.
in 2008, and he lost almost everything. So out of one of their bedrooms in their apartment, he tried building an online business, and people are like, "You're crazy, you're this." He wanted to be a musician,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so anyway, he said that. I mean, he ended up making seven figures, and he had all these students, and he had like, I don't know, I don't like to lie, but it was either 700,000 or 7 million viewers on YouTube, right? He teaches all
Wow.
courses and all that. But he said still after that, there was something missing. Even though he's doing that, and it made him happy, and they had money and all of that, but it wasn't, and I've said this recently, I'm not satisfied. I'm not satisfied. I've not been satisfied. I'm tired of living unsatisfied. And that's what he talks about, that he had to go into. It's almost like being rebellious against the culture and what we're taught and what we learn and what they say and all that. And number one, who is they? Who are they? I want to meet they. Put me in a boxing ring with them. I mean, who are they? Who are they? And so I haven't got to that part yet, but I'm real excited to hear, you know, the process he went through to find. I mean, seriously, people will ask, if money was never an option, what would you do? And people come up with answers. I've had to come up with answers, but I still think we limit ourselves in that way, that we don't really, what would you really, really, really do? And I think it takes a lot of thought. It's not just something we can pop off. Well, I'd be doing what I'm doing now. Well, maybe, but what are you doing now? And is it bringing you, I mean, is it at your core level? Now we're going deep. Heart, yes, but deep into that heart space, that heart chakra. Do you know what I mean? Like deep, deep. And those are like type of the friendships and relationships I want to have. And most of them are online now. But I want them to be in person. I don't want to have just these, you know, surface level. I don't want that. I don't want it. I want
Yeah,
it deep.
and I think that's really where we're heading. I think it's a different level of community. It's no
Mhm.
longer about the numbers and the likes, even though we're still living in that reality. And you
Yeah.
still go on YouTube, you still go on any platform, and it's all really about the subscribers, the numbers. But sometimes you look and you say, okay, 500 subscribers or 500 viewers or whatever. But like out of those 500 people, who would I really call if I needed to talk about my mom's situation?
Right.
Right? And maybe three, right? Maybe three.
That's
And,
yep.
and and with that, we're not saying don't serve the 500. That's not what we're saying. But we're saying let's try to work with what we have, and take it from there, and strengthen those relationships. And I know for me that has been one of my journeys this year. I have to strengthen a lot of my relationships. I'm looking at those beautiful relationships that are meaningful that I want to take to the new cycle. And
Right.
I'm like, I'm spending time here. I'm I'm looking at what I've done, my part, what I can improve, and what I am expecting too, right, from that friendship. And I can then ask for it and or share it with the person. And I
Yeah.
think that's really what's important for us now, to
Yeah.
focus a lot on that, whether it's online, whether it's in person, and even look at your own family that
Yes.
lives with you, because sometimes we are out there doing amazing things, and yet our kids are so disconnected from us, or our partner's so disconnected from us.
Right.
And that can create that feeling you were talking about, that feeling
Right.
of I have all this money, I have this empire, I have this beautiful, I don't know, car, or I have this job, but I think my wife doesn't like me, or like
Right.
or
Right.
I think my kid is dying to go to college to get rid of me, right? And
Right.
and that's a feeling that a lot of us have experienced at some level,
Yeah.
and it feels terrible. It feels terrible to know that, yeah, you can mean so much to someone, yet to someone that you want to mean the most, you can mean so little.
Yeah. And it's
And
being vulnerable too.
mhm,
It's hard to be vulnerable.
mhm,
I think it's hard to be vulnerable. I think it's probably a human thing. I
yeah,
went on a Mind Spring. I did something and I got, it was another book and I can't remember what it was, an Audible book. And so I went on Mind Spring, and some of the things that asked, what are your goals, for this next period? And almost everything had to center around, I really want to enhance, and I want to be better so that I can be fantastic in relationships.
mhm,
Do you know what I mean? Not,
mhm.
give more, be more, not be in a mat and stepped on and all that
No,
stuff. You
no,
know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
There has
But
to be a balance.
for the real for the
Mhm,
real people out there, the real, it's terrible we have to say like real friends or true
mhm.
friends. It should be assumed, but it can't be. And what can I do to help them be the best that they can be. It's in so it's I could moan it to you or groan it to you, but I can't find the words. Isn't that weird? It's hard to put it into words, but to really make a difference.
Hmm.
And it sometimes it doesn't have to be financial. Could be time,
Yeah.
listening, time,
Yes.
supportive. Hey, something happened, and you know I can call Kathleen and she's going to answer her phone because number one, I carry it with me 24/7. I'm
Hmm.
on call for my parents next door, but not even that, and people can count on me no matter what, even if I'm going through things, unless we're in a hospital, then that's
Hmm.
everything's off and I have to solely 100% for mom. But other than that, and I want people to know that about me, that and feel that way, and it's not taken advantage of, and it's not, if I get taken advantage of, that's on me for being stupid enough to let that happen. There's got to be boundaries, and I discussed that one time, like a veteran from Vietnam War, when I was in my unconventional massage school. He helped me a lot and had me come, and we went to the building, and I sat in a circle and he had me draw the line, you know, around me. And it was like way out there, my boundaries, right up to where he was sitting cross legged on the floor as well. And he's like, "Can you bring it in a little?" I'm like, "Why? Why should I? I mean, what's the point?" After our conversation and many times speaking, I was able to realize that that boundary was fluid. And it could come in a little on this side, maybe with this person, maybe if that person was further out, depending. So now it's like this moving liquid boundary, because I didn't have any really, because I was a child. And then I went complete opposite. I was rigid. There was boundaries. You weren't crossing it. And you know what I'm saying? I mean, you can see me even talking about it. No. And both are unhealthy, right? So it's finding that balance and
Hmm.
that fluidity,
Hmm.
So he taught me that, and I'm sure he saw a lot in Vietnam. They actually go back once a year and have a celebration and honor and have dinner with, and with the people that they fought against.
That's hard,
And it
and
wasn't, because you can't go into
hmm.
North Vietnam, but I'm talking
Hmm.
about even in South Vietnam, because we didn't do good things there, not even to our own people. So I mean, for that, talk about forgiveness.
Yeah.
So it was healing for both. You
Hmm.
know.
And that's really, I think, what I think is the most beautiful gift of the era that we're entering. That I think we're in the space where we all need to forgive ourselves, forgive others, and we talk a lot about this term every now and then. But what does that really look like, And I think that we haven't had a collective picture of it. People are doing it individually, maybe some, people, groups of people, but like collectively, can we really say we have forgiven? And how can we say we are forgiving when yet we're not forgiving with other things, right? So I think balance, as you said, is the key. It's like, don't dwell on yourself if you can't forgive, or if you could forget. I think knowing that you can change whatever experience you had and your perception of it is
Mhm.
enough. And then choosing when and how, that's also up to you. And I can tell you of people I know personally that they can't forgive certain things, and I know they will get there.
Right.
Is having that grace also to
Right.
know that the time will come. And I've experienced it myself, of like not having a friend speak to me for many, many years. And when I least expected it, there it was. There it was. And it was just like I wasn't even looking for it. And it just did something. It did something that transformed me at so many deep levels, because I wasn't even looking for it at that point.
Right.
It was a childhood friend. We had some misunderstanding as kids, and I would have done it differently back then, right? But now I'm older, and now and I felt I carry this grief with me, and it didn't matter how much I said no, 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 and it was hurting me. It was hurting me because I knew that that relationship didn't have good closure.
Right.
and I know this can go deep in terms of like the people that can do a lot of damage, or groups of people that can do a lot of damage,
Yeah.
and that would be another conversation for
Right.
another day. But
Right.
I think it's important to start where we at, and just start recognizing those feelings that are arising. And we can only recognize them in those moments that you talked about, when we quiet down,
Right.
and we kind of like stop
Yeah.
talking. And then all of a sudden we just kind of like, let me just listen, not to what I know, not to what I want to hear, but what to wants to come through.
And they have to be ready too.
Yes.
So in that process,
Yes.
it takes two, right?
Mm-hmm.
It
It
takes
does.
two.
And it might
So
be different timelines.
exactly. But at
Mm-hmm.
some point,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully it'll come together. They're
Yes.
zigzagging this way, you're zigzagging that way, and then all of a sudden the zigzag at, like you said, a very unexpected moment, and
Mm-hmm.
there it was.
Yeah.
And
And
it was
then
beautiful.
that heals sort of like the cycles moving
Hmm.
forward, like those patterns, and I think that even for us at a family level, many people, including myself, we've come from family systems that maybe didn't do the most nicest things to people.
Right.
Even if you look at history of maybe 100 years ago,
Oh yeah.
things were done that were very painful, and we carry that in our DNA. We carry that, it's like a fractal line. We carry it forward, and we're, even if we have had kids, we're passing that down to them, and
Hmm.
it will awaken at some point. It can get triggered, by certain things that happen, and
Right.
it's our responsibility to heal what we're responsible for. So we can't go back. We can't change that
Right.
a
Right.
hundred years ago, but we can change what our family did by choosing to forgive them.
And about the generational thing, I mean,
Hmm.
it can be stopped, can't it? That's,
I
I
mean,
feel like it can,
yeah.
but it takes work.
And it takes, I believe that every family has a person.
Hmm.
In what I've seen when I speak with people, every family has that keeper, like that memory keeper,
Mm.
and that has an ability to access, and not necessarily through history itself. Like maybe they are that kind of person that they'll research, but there's also people that have the sensitivity to
Hmm.
access it in the feeling. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right, and it's like that feeling that urges you to look, look, look. And it's hard. I've guided people through paths where they had to look back, and it's not, it's not good. It's painful. And whether they were hurt directly, or other people around them were hurt, it's sometimes shameful. It can sometimes be almost unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wow, like I come from this kind of lineage, but it doesn't damage you. It
Right.
doesn't damage you. It just tells you that how lucky are you to be alive in this moment, that you can, as you said, you can sort of like transform it for the future generations.
Right.
You can transform it for you, for your kids, and for your great grandkids.
And you're so good at that. And so, I see all these things that I that you could be doing, and I know when the timing's right, you will. So to kind of wrap it up a little bit, I'm thinking, so on your publication, you're so good at what you do. I mean, you
Thank
are. You
you.
are.
Thank
I
you.
guess, you know, wouldn't it be horrible to be bad at what we do? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's
We
such a
could
thing.
get there. We could
Yeah,
get
I'm
there
telling
when
you.
we get
Yeah,
on
we
our
could. We
way.
could be, yeah, the other way.
Yeah.
So if people, what is it with your publication? I mean, honestly, can we make money really off our publications? I mean, honestly, can you? Not
Yeah.
really. It's going to be through digital marketing. It's going to be through products, workshops, and things like that. What are you thinking? What's your vision, if you have one? I've seen visions of what's coming for you, but are you, what do you see? Is there anything in the works with workshops or helping others, or you want to do one-on-ones? What's in the works for you?
Yeah, so we've done one-on-ones, and I've worked with a lot of clients, one-on-one. And one of the things that happened to me very quickly when I started doing this was I got burned out,
Hmm.
and I started worrying too much about the things that will come up. And then I had to do my own separation and discernment of what was happening to me versus what was happening to someone I was speaking with, and like not, having that healthy separation.
Right.
So I kind of went to the extreme of shutting down
Right.
and just saying, I'm just going to focus on my family. I'm not going to do these kind of works. What happened with that, when I closed myself up, there was also like this guilt coming up of like, because I'm hearing things happening, there's people that need help, and they will come specifically to ask a question, and I could guide them and I can tell them, well, look at this, look at that, and
Right.
then I would feel guilty about it because I'll feel like maybe if I would talk to this person, maybe, that wouldn't have happened that way. So then I kind of felt, and this is kind of like the path when you and I started talking, and you told me that, and you said, well, it's almost like a responsibility if you have a gift, that you have to you have to do the service. And then we spoke about ways in which, that can happen, where I can also take care of my family because I do have a large family.
Yes.
And talking back and forth with you and my own intuition and what I've been sort of feeling and sensing, it's I have to take responsibility, and that makes me irresponsible to be of service to someone else. And I want to start doing maybe like mini group sessions
Yeah.
online to start monthly,
Yeah.
where we can talk about specific integration techniques that you can integrate, let's say this month right now, giving everything that's happening rhythm wise, because we're looking at the planets, we're looking at the numbers, we're looking at your own personal story because we all have our own personal story. And there are some things that we can work and that can either help you navigate the situation easier, or it can at least help you feel supported or feel like, I'm not alone in this. It's hard, but we're doing it together. And I think that for the first time ever, and this is hard for me to even say it, I am actually also opening myself to be supported, because I feel that one of the things that we can get wrong when we try to help other people is that we can think we're the only people helping, and we're the expert, and we're the know-it-all, and we're in a way even God, right? Like, oh, I
Right.
can heal this person, and I can direct them, and I can clarify them. But what I've learned through my experiences with clients that I've worked is that they change me, they heal
Hmm.
me, and
Definitely.
I learned so much from their stories. And they have prevented me. Sometimes their stories and their experiences have prevented me from making serious mistakes in my life. Because I remember that story of that person that, 10 years ago told me what happened to them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is happening to me. I've seen this before. I've seen this before. And then I'm more informed. So
Yeah.
because of that, I feel that it's almost like a mutual responsibility,
It is.
and I am opening myself to also be supported and to receive the love and the guidance from those around me that can be of service. And that's my goal short term. But yeah, long term, we're looking into what you mentioned, some in-person retreats where we can spend maybe a few days together, just learning more about this stuff in the deeper level, like
Yeah.
what does all this stuff means, and how can we translate it into a language that we can understand.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be, I think you're going to do fantastic. And I can't wait until you start the monthly thing I'm in.
Thank you.
Because, it does help to know what's going on. People may think that, the gravitational pull or, the full moon, they used to, hey, I worked mental health for a while and ER. I got pulled to those places because most of the nurses wouldn't go. So I said, take me. And, people get, I mean, they get off. And you don't
Mhm.
have to have a mental health problem or something. I mean, you know, had a horrible time sleeping, and I, just issues when there was a full moon and I could feel it coming. And I'm like, I guarantee a full moon's coming. And I'm looking up, there's the full.
Mhm.
And then I started having a different perspective about it. Instead of dreading it, I'm like, you know what? This is light,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
I'm going to accept this. I'm not going to dread this. I'm going to take that energy, bring it in, and send it back out, right? So that
Mhm.
perspective, and people don't know those things. Sometimes I'm really bad at, I think that, well, I know it and this is too simple to teach somebody. They already know that. I'm like
Mm-hmm.
on guided imagery. I was going to do some guided imagery. I did a note on it or an article, and someone let me know, like, you need to do a workshop on this and all this. And I'm like, why? And she goes, because people don't know it. I'm like, people don't know how to do guided imagery. And I don't mean that in a negative, you're
Mm-hmm.
not smart or whatever way. I just figured everybody knew how to do it. That
Mm-hmm.
it's just that simple. But whoops, sorry. That was UF Health. I can call them back. But so I think, with what you're going to start doing is perfect, because it affects all of us. The planet alignments, all of that, it affects us because we're part of it and it's part of us. I mean, we're all in this together. We're not
Yeah.
separate. And I
Yeah.
think it will be amazing.
It is, and I think that what helps a lot is that once you understand these things at a deeper level, it gives you, I don't like to call it control, it gives you consciousness. It
Mm-hmm.
gives you something that you didn't have before.
Right.
What does consciousness gives you? It gives you responsibility, and it gives you, in a way, information that now you can use to inform yourself of what to do next.
Right.
Whereas when we are not aware of these things, we're just kind of going, we're just kind of like, it is what it is. It feels crazy. I'm trusting, but what are you trusting? You're shooting. You're like shooting everywhere, and you don't know what you're doing. And
Right.
if you are gifted enough with your intuition, because we're all gifted with different things, if
Right.
you happen to have a very high intuition, you're probably already good at this.
Right.
I can guarantee you that if you have high intuition, you feel it, like you said. You
Mhm.
feel the full moon, you feel the new moon, you feel when the planets are transiting, you're feeling all these things, but you don't know what it is. It just feels weird. It feels different. It feels like, oh, I shouldn't go there. I shouldn't take this trip. I shouldn't take that job. But
Right.
if you're very occupied, and this happens to a lot of people that are very occupied, they're very busy, whether it's work or
Mm-hmm.
family, or your mind is just like developing things and doing all these other things, you might feel it, but you're not going to pay a lot of attention to it.
Right.
But when you really think about it, I've spoken to so many people about this, even the people that you don't think have high intuition, they will tell you right before I said yes, my gut told me no. Right before I said no,
Mhm.
something told me yes. But
Yeah.
we ignore it half of the time. But we're
Yeah.
almost accurate 95% of the time. And that's high to me. To me,
Yeah.
that's like, wow, for you to be accurate 95% of the time. When we get it wrong or when we go completely opposite, it's when we second think about it. That's when the mind comes in. And
Right.
now we try to give a meaning, and we try to say something to ourselves like, oh, no, but I don't know. And then all of a sudden, now that goes away and we
Yeah.
override it.
Right.
But when we understand these planetary influences and how they speaking to us, the stars are speaking to us in a very beautiful way, then you get it. You
Yeah.
get why you had that incident with that boss. You get why you got that contract out of nowhere. You get why all of a sudden this friend that you didn't see for 5 years is here now. And
Yeah.
you're like, what? Where did this person come from? And you start understanding this, and then you can make better choices.
And I say that even in the medical part, how can
Hmm.
you make a decision when you don't have, and we call them facts. What is a fact? But
Hmm.
have all the information.
Yeah,
Then
inform.
you can make
Hmm.
the decision that you feel is best for yourself or your
Or your
child
loved
or
ones.
whatever. But
Hmm.
if you're not giving all the information, how in the heck are you supposed to make that decision?
Yeah, and you can make a very bad decision that
Yeah.
can lead you to regrets that
Yeah.
we carry years later. We're
Yeah.
still like, wow, I shouldn't have done that 10 years ago, and you're still carrying that. But now
Yes.
you have a choice, and you decide even down to who you're going to partner with. You can sense that, and you can say, I don't know if I want to go into this partnership
Right.
versus if you don't know these things, you kind of like say, oh, it feels okay, I guess. She's a good friend. Let me do it. And
Right.
this is when we get screwed sometimes, and
Yeah.
we're like, why do I do that? So
Yeah.
I think that the goal, I guess, for whoever joins is to help them be more attuned with their intuitions. Because I think we all have it.
Yeah.
You see it with children. Anybody that's been around them, they have, wow, their intuition at some point. I've seen it with my own eyes with my own kids, the kind of stuff, like even danger, almost like it's incredible when you witness it. So we all have it. I think, of course, it gets buried like many things, like our
Yeah.
gifts, and or it gets compromised, and
Yeah.
sometimes it can also through trauma give you the wrong information. Because intuition can also guide you wrongly if
Yes.
you've been screwed over again and again. It can
Right.
literally tell you don't trust anyone,
Right.
and that's intuition. But is it being
Yeah.
helpful? Is
Right.
it being
Right.
helpful? Yeah.
Are you thinking about starting this next month?
Yes, yes. Thanks to you. I was going to wait till like October or something, but I think you're right. It's the
Happy.
faster the better. The faster the better. Yeah.
Dip your toes in, because I mean it's going to be amazing. So, are you thinking about, just for people listening and stuff? Are you thinking about like charging? You know how Stripe, if you're doing a
Hmm.
workshop, and I've just learned this, like if people say they want to join the publication, or there's so many ways to go with it,
Hmm.
that they would, there'd be a separate like uh, thing to join. I've seen
Hmm.
Sarah Faye and others do that. Like people that aren't paid subscribers or whatever, that they would, pay. She does like $35 for four. She'll do a
Hmm.
45-minute talk on about Substack and stuff like that. And so she'll charge like $35 for 45 minutes. And I don't know how she decides how much money. But are you thinking something like that? And so, or are you thinking, you know, to become a paid subscriber, or how have you thought about that yet? Or, and if you haven't, you haven't.
Yeah, I haven't thought about the logistics, but I'm
Okay.
thinking it's probably going to be something separate,
Yeah.
that I will have. Also, because I have people that I work with on the side that are
Yeah.
not on Substack, and
Yeah.
that way I can invite them as well.
That sounds
Uh,
great.
yeah, so it's definitely going to be separate, and people can still join my publication, so that they can get my
Oh yeah.
writings, and if they want to DM me specifically, also they can. Again, we're individuals, and everything is specific to you and me, and like what I've spoken to you specifically to you, and I cannot come here and just write a whole thing about this is happening to the world. I
Right.
can speak about general themes,
Right.
which I would share like in these monthly groups, but for me to give you a more individualized guidance, you will have to share some information with me,
Right.
about things that can help me understand you better. And that's kind of like what we're going to have in that group that's going to be different.
Right.
Because here I think I could write more like about the generic stuff. And then in the group, it could be more like, oh, you know what? I'm going through this with my marriage. I think it's so important, especially when it's loved ones involved. I've
Mhm.
spoken with people that are in the verge of getting divorced, or they're going through stuff, and then what it can be worked. It's just they don't understand this. They don't understand it's a transit or something that's happening,
Right.
that they just have to weather it. And it with so much information out there, like we're always diagnosing things, conditions, and even like, oh, my partner's doing this to me because of the signs, and that's not necessarily true. Yes, there are
Right.
some generic things, right? But there
Right.
are also certain transits that affect your relationship with your children, with your partners, even your own relationship with yourself.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which can explain why you're confused, why you're maybe depressed, why you're maybe feeling a little bit, baffled about certain things.
Yeah.
So that's what I want to offer, more of that clarity, so that before you go on, let's say you sign the divorce paper, you feel good about it. and
Right. Right.
like, what? Yeah, it's meant to be.
Yeah. And it's like Mercury's not in retrograde. We just came out of that.
Yes.
Oh, I was feeling
Yeah.
that. Karen Langston reminded me of it. She goes, we're in Mercury retrograde. I'm like, I knew something, but I didn't know, because I can feel it. I can feel
Yeah.
frequencies, wavelengths. I mean, I just that sensitive. And it's like, okay, through the 13th. Well, definitely I'll be careful who I speak with, and I won't be signing any contracts or anything that has to do with money, because there is such miscommunication and misunderstanding. It's been proven during, it's not, it's science,
It
right?
is, and I think one of the gifts about Mercury retrograde, because people always look at the negative aspects of it. One of the gifts that it gives you that pause that we were talking about to reflect and rethink about that theme.
Mm.
So let's say you're about to buy a house. Some people would say like, "Oh, it's Mercury retrograde. I'm not gonna go to the closing, or I'm not gonna do." But that's not necessarily the way it works. The way it
Okay.
works is that maybe you just need to rethink the purchase, and
Mm.
maybe you can ask for more money, or maybe you can negotiate the terms, or
Mm.
maybe maybe you can get a credit for something. So when we start opening up to these kind of perspectives, then we
Right.
don't get rid of the house, because some people can do that too and say like, no, I'm not signing the contract, and then you just gave away a beautiful house.
Right.
There are people that were born with Mercury retrograde. I have two kids that were born with Mercury retrograde, and people say that they turn out to have delays, based on science. Like sometimes they have developmental delays, or they might have certain conditions like ADHD and things like that. And yeah, there's evidence of that, but there's also evidence of kids doing brilliantly well.
Yes.
And if anything, the Mercury retrograde just made them more insightful and
Yes.
more thoughtful, or maybe it just like the communication style is different. So maybe
Right.
they not verbally, maybe they might have verbal delays, for example, but they can be uh, amazing musicians. So like they can find another way to communicate
Right. And I
that is
hate the
different.
labels. I hate the,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, if we all, I just say, we're highly into, I haven't been diagnosed with it. I'm sure they might diagnose me, but so why would I go get diagnosed with it? It's no, we're thinkers, we're analytical people, I think a lot of times, children just need to go out and play and get that energy out of them.
yeah.
So, and when I've seen, because I've never had children, I've seen, families and mothers and single mothers and people that have had children that they've been diagnosed with that. These children are highly intelligent. They're a lot of times they're more sensitive, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I understand
Mm-hmm.
that. I think it's good to be sensitive. And they see things and feel things that others don't. I saw it when I worked into mental health, where they were giving people drugs for things, calling them this, that, and the other. And some of the things that they were saying, I'm like, well, I believe that too, but that's
Mm-hmm.
why they were in there,
But you wouldn't say it out loud. Yeah, it's true. It's
I mean,
true.
it's crazy. So
Yeah,
I hate the labeling, but I think that'd be great with you doing that. And
yeah.
it will really, I think it'll really help people, because then they can come from the understanding that, okay, yeah, this is life and this is here, but there's also another part of it, another realm that affects us,
The
even, or
unseen.
part of the same realm, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it affects us. And so, I'll be a little bit more cautious on this. And
Mm-hmm.
like you just said, I never thought of Mercury retrograde. I thought of it negatively.
Yeah.
Negative.
Yeah.
I've never thought of it in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you said what you said, see, now I can think of it a completely different way.
Yeah, and I mean that's been big in astrology, because they have like these planets that they call them like the bad planets and like the good
Hmm.
planets, and then with time people have come to understand that the bad planets are not bad.
No.
They just are demanding more of us, more awareness, more responsibility, more they might place more restrictions on us and make us think different. So that's why we call them bad, because it's like, oh no, this is taking me out of my element, and you rather go with what's normal, right? But we all learning from all these things.
Yeah.
One thing that I can tell you 100% that even for people that have kids, for example, I have all these kids and they all different, obviously. They were born single babies, they were born different months, different times. I have two Libras, so this is so important. So I have two kids that are Libras. So technically they're supposed to be the same, right? But how many times haven't you met another person with your sun sign that is not like you? Like you're like, no, you're not a Virgo.
Right.
I'm a Virgo, right? For
Right.
example, this is when I learn about these processes. This is when I learn why people are so different, even though they're under the same sun. So although my son is a Libra, my daughter is a Libra, they have different aspects. Their planets are completely different on the day they were born. One is more fluid, the other one is more rigid. And you can see it in the personalities. The one that has, if I can show you the chart, if you join the session next month,
Right.
I'll probably share it. If I can show you the chart, I can show you how my son's chart is so rigid. It's like a square, literally. And he has an amazing personality. He's very dedicated. He's very responsible, but he's very rigid.
Yeah.
For you to get him to go like from point A to point B, it's going to be a fight. It's not going to be that easy. Whereas my daughter, she has more fluidity in her
Hmm.
chart, and she is so much more flexible, and she's more in tune with like nature and all these things that my son would never do. My son is a mathematician though, great with numbers, great with logic. My
Right.
daughter's not like that, you see. So that's just a perfect example of how it can
Yeah.
help you with your own children, where
Absolutely.
you can have 3 or 4 kids and understanding these things about them. Now you understand why they're introverted, why they're extroverted, and you even understand how to speak to them.
Yes.
Like maybe that's why it's not working out, because you're speaking to them, not understanding where their Mercury has to do with communication, right? Not
Right.
understanding where the Mercury's in the chart, it affects how they communicate, it affects how they think, and that can be a life changing right there, because you're like,
Definitely.
okay, oh wow, so my kid learns through travel, my kid learns through this kind of experiences. They don't
Right.
learn through reading a book, so I'm not going to force them to continue reading that book and think that there's something wrong with him. And that alone to me is like priceless. If you can improve your relationship with your children, with your partner, especially because you're living with that person every day,
Yeah.
that alone, it's like, let me find out the deeper levels of my partner, so that I'm not just seeing the outer shell, because the outer shell is not who they are. The outer
Right.
shell is what they've been conditioned to be, it's what they think they are. And I'm not saying it's not valid. There is a lot of truth in what you see,
Right.
but there's a lot of deeper stuff. Probably 90% like the iceberg of stuff that you just can't understand, which
Right.
triggers you every day, which is the reason why you're fighting over the pepper and the toilet
Right.
paper.
Well, I can see where it would help people that aren't in relationships, like I'm not, or
Mm-hmm.
married or something. That having paying you to look at something like that, and getting their birth date and their numbers and everything, and seeing, is this something I want to work with or not? Because then you get to make that decision. Okay,
Also,
yeah, and can they work with me on
yeah,
that?
yeah.
And I think, if people are willing, you can work with anybody on anything. I mean, I'm not talking about being abused or drugs and,
Oh no,
stuff
no,
like that.
yeah.
I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
um, because that's how we learn. I mean, opposites attract.
Mm-hmm.
You notice, and the people get married and they're the early riser and they like to stay in bed and they like to talk in the morning
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want to talk in them, and it's like, it's to teach us. I know it's to teach us. And I'm
It
finally
is.
learning that. And I'm not in a relationship, it's like, but it's to teach us.
It
And
is,
we,
and it's incredible when you see charts of people, especially you see this in married people. When you see charts of people that obviously they met randomly somewhere in the airport, something happened, and yet you see their charts, it's unbelievable. What you will see. Like sometimes you will see how they were meant to be. Like, you could almost see like, wow, these people were like meant to be together,
right,
because they will have the same mathematical numbers. They will have certain elements that are aspecting. They will have, and it's like, you wouldn't see that match with any other person, So it will be like,
right,
how did that came to be? And then you understand. And then it doesn't mean that they're the same, but they have certain elements that brought them together to teach one another. So
right,
that thing that that person is lacking, you're good at, and that thing that you're not good at, that person
right.
can help you. And that's really the power of all these relationships in general, is to transform us. And
Yeah,
I think that that's one of the gifts that knowing this information can help you with. It can help
definitely.
you move. It can help you move from that place of like, to like, wow, I get to learn this from this person and I get to teach this to this person. And I don't help me a lot with my marriage. Like my husband's very logical. He's very like, very like, things gotta be linear.
Right,
I'm very circular. I'm
right.
very like go with the flow. And we will fight each other a lot because of that. And now that we understand our charts and we understand why what we are, we can get to talk about this. And we say, yeah, But you know that my strong point is relationships. You know that I'm strong at building relationships. So you know that you should let me have the lead in this one. And then you have that flexibility of that person giving you that that permission and saying, yeah, I know I suck at relationships, but it's not because you're saying it. It's
Right.
because they see it. And
Right.
when they see it in their chart, they see it in their patterns. It's identical. They
When
see in
they see it,
all,
yeah.
yeah, they see all their relationships in the past, everything they've done, and they see the patterns repeating until that moment you get that transformation. And then you're like,
Right.
oh, I could do it different now.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have to
You do
yell
this and
every
I'll do
time.
that. And yeah.
Yeah. And we work as
It's
a team.
exactly the strengths and
Hmm.
weaknesses. I see that,
Yeah.
when with when I have been in, well, I'll say friendships. If someone's down, I'm usually up and I can help pull them up. And then when I'm down, that person's up and they pull me, and it's like that back and
Yeah.
forth. I'm definitely that
Yeah.
way with my mom. We're rarely
Yeah.
either both down or both up at the same time. I don't know why. It's
Hmm.
not, it's not that way. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird, but I'm sure it has to do with her numbers and all of that too.
Yeah, it does. It's almost magical when you see it. Absolutely magical when you see it with your children. But it's expected because you are the parent. So, so you kind of expect there's going to be some divine intervention there. But it's incredible when you see it with friends or when you see it with partners, even business partners, that
Yes.
you see how you came about and you see it in the charts and you see how you needed each other. You
Yeah.
needed each other. It was the teamwork waiting to happen. And I know it might sound a little bit out there for some people, but one of the things I like to do, like I did with you when we work together, I like to tell them stuff about their past and their patterns, so that
Mm-hmm.
they can see that you never told me these things, and just based on seeing some things, I can tell
Yep.
you how you are, and then
Mm-hmm.
that opens them up a little bit to be more
Yes.
open and say,
Like,
wow, like I've always done that. I've always done
yeah.
that with this and that.
Yes. How did she know that? I'm reading.
Yeah.
Okay, this person. I don't know how they know all these things. Yeah, and the thing with I would say that when you work with people, you're very detailed about it. You explain everything in a loving, kind way. It's not like for everything, and I hate to use the word negative or positive or good or bad, but for every action, there's a reaction. I mean, it's we know, I would say energy. I would say with anything, there's I'll say energy, a negative energy to it, a positive energy to it. I guess that's the best way for me to say it. I
Yeah.
mean, there's opposite ends, and it's getting to that balance, which I've searched for my whole life. Balance, and I feel like with each passing whatever, I wouldn't say year. It doesn't take that long. Sometimes every day. Sometimes I'll notice it in a week that I'll go, wow, I've really changed. Or maybe, was it a change or was it just a realization and then saying, I can accept this part. I don't have
Hmm.
to fight it. And out of this I can do something good with it.
Yes.
Debbie Ford, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, that book,
Hmm.
it's like there's really no good and there's no bad. And what we see in
Hmm.
others is usually, that pisses us off is something that it's really a reflection of ourself, right? And it's like, well, I don't like that about that person. Well, I don't like that about myself. And
Yes.
when I first think of that, I'm like, there's no way. I'm nothing like that. But then if I let that go and say, okay, let me think about this.
Hmm.
And I have to sit with it a few days, right? Because I'm defensive. And I'll be like, you know what? It is there. And I didn't even
Hmm.
realize it was there.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
is.
so
And
it's such an exciting journey, really. With the when if we think about it, wanna it's just and it's forever because I believe our spirits live forever, no matter where the people believe where they live or whatever. I think that our flesh goes away, but whether we come back or go to heaven or go to nirvana or go wherever, then our spirits live on forever and ever and ever. And so
yeah, and I like to say that even if there is no afterlife or no before life or reincarnation, like we don't know it, right? I
right.
like to say, why not live this life with the utmost integrity and in the best version and transformative way you could live it, just in case there is an after life.
Right, right.
You get to give that gift. You get to
Exactly.
get that gift to the next person, or if you reincarnate, you get to bring that with you. And if
Right,
you don't, you don't, but you left the people you left here,
right.
hopefully transform in a
Yeah,
beautiful way. And I think that that's the most beautiful gift we can give,
yeah,
not just to humanity, but to ourselves. It's the gift to truly be the best version of who we're here to be.
yeah,
And that's going to mean, yeah, we're going to have to do a lot of work. And I've been doing work for many, many years. And I know that if we were to talk 20 years down the road, I'll be a completely transformed person. And I will be reflecting back to this point, and I will be telling you, wow, you remember back then? Well, this is what I know now about myself. And it will
exactly.
be very, it'll probably be along the lines, but it will be a much more pure, transformed version of where
Yeah,
I am now.
yeah,
And I think that that's a very humble way for us to admit that we're human.
yeah,
We're human. We're humans. And we can only have grace for ourselves and for others. We're not forced to, but what a difference would it make if we do?
yeah. That's fantastic. And what a great way to end this. I mean, this was amazing.
Oh my God,
I knew
two
we would talk
hours.
a while. I know, 2 hours. But you know
I can't
what?
believe it.
There was a lot of what I would say enlightenment or truth or things that you know. Sometimes I say I see better with my eyes closed than I do with them
Hmm.
open. But it's been so wonderful. When we talk on the phone, it's just 3 hours, 4 hours. But
Hmm.
I mean, you're amazing. I hope people, please, please, um, don't take my word for it, but go and it's heartful living, HEARTFUL living. And of course, she's up here where you can press there to subscribe or read her stuff. I mean, this is an amazing lady right here.
Oh,
And
thank you. Thank you.
Claudia, I consider you a lifelong friend. I value you. I honor you.
Oh,
I know we all have a lot going on in our lives, but you've been there for me, and hopefully, I've been there for you in some,
yes,
you
you have.
know.
You have.
Um, and I just, I love you as a friend, and I'm always here for you. I'm
Oh,
always here for
thank
you, no
you.
matter what, anything. And I'm hoping down the road who knows, right? Who knows what's going to happen down the road? I know some good things are going to happen,
Yes.
and it's going to be life changing. I know it's going to change a lot of lives. And
Yes.
anyway, I just appreciate your time, everybody. I appreciate your time. Please check Claudia out. She's amazing. And next month, so in September now, so we've got you narrowed down. You're going to start a monthly meetup, and it'll be
Hmm.
maybe with a different Stripe link or something like that. And
Hmm.
we'll just pay for that time together. And you'll be speaking about. Generically what's going on so that we can all kind of look out for, okay, we know this is going on this month, so maybe I might do some things a little bit differently, which I
Yes.
think is huge.
It is. And I think, I like to say we create our reality, and we see this all the time. We've read many books about it. And I think that's where that power comes from, that we can truly transform
Yes.
the way things are and our perception of it. So it starts there with your imagination, what you're envisioning and what you're imagining your life, and whatever it is that you're imagining. But there are so many tools. So many tools, and we talk about it all the time because you're in the holistic field. You have aromatherapy, you have crystals, you have astrology, you name it. There's hundreds of them. None of them are the magic
Right.
touch. You are. You're the vessel. You are the person that can make it happen or break it. But you can tap into these tools. And when you tap into these tools, it just makes your life so much easier. Or, you could just keep going, like what we were saying, when you just don't know. And at that point, we just learn a little bit more by trial and error. So it's
Right.
almost like, oh, why these keep relationships keep happening? Why I keep losing my job? Why I keep losing this? And especially with loss, I say, because we spoke about grief,
Yeah.
when we started this, if you are someone that you're dealing with a lot of loss of any kind, and that could be loss of clients, loss of money, loss of people, it's very important to check what's going on outside of you. There's other influences that are happening that could be trying to teach you some lessons so that you can go about it different. Not for
Right.
you to like let it go, but maybe it just needs to be transformed. So
Right.
maybe, so I think it's just a gift that we get to have these things. And back in the day, thousands of years ago,
Yeah.
the way. This was the way it
Yes.
was done back in time. But with science and technology, things have shifted,
Yeah.
and we have gone like again very mental, and that's where we kind of lost the way because it's so hard for us to root ourselves now, in that knowing that we know that when we're in that shower and or like you say, you close your eyes, you're having that moment, that's the right call. It's not what everybody else is telling you. It's
Right.
what Claudia is telling me. It's what Kathleen is telling herself.
Yeah.
We know best, and we can be that person for ourselves. And it also takes that codependency out of the way of wanting to see that therapist or see that astrologer or see that I don't know, tarot reader or
Right.
psychic, so that it
Right.
could keep telling you the future. It
Right.
teaches you how to trust.
Yeah. Your own intuition and your gut
Yeah.
and your heart goes back to
Yes.
the heart. It really
Yes.
does. Well, it was, God, this was such a pleasure speaking with you and introducing you to people who may not have met you yet.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
just so excited for everybody coming on. And there were so many people going through that I couldn't even keep up, but really appreciate it and looking forward to next month and when you start this.
Yes.
And I'm ready. And let me know, and I'll put it out there, as well, because I love to help promote people, especially, you're doing good things, and it helps other people.
Thank
So
you so much, Kathleen.
appreciate your
And
time.
thank you for pushing me. I wouldn't have done this without you. I appreciate you so much. I see you like this mother figure. I don't know how to explain it. But it's been great connecting with you. And just to kind of like close it up on a funny note, when I first reached out to Kathleen months ago, she was so suspicious of me. She was like, "Who are you?" She was like, "What do you mean? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna tell me?" And it talked about that trust. So I want to publicly thank you for trusting me
I
and
do.
for just allowing for whatever needed to come through between me and you to come through. Because I don't know why I reached out that time. I think you probably might have commented something on my writing, and I just felt like we needed to connect. And it was such a beautiful decision. And I'm so glad that we did.
Me
So
too.
again, thank you for trusting me. I know it's not easy, especially in the online world, and I know for you it has been hard.
Mhm.
And I've seen the change. I just wanted to say that, like, if you haven't seen it, have grace because I've seen it.
Thank you.
And you're, by the way, an amazing daughter. By the way, for those people who don't know, what
Thank
you've done for
you.
your mom is incredible.
I would do it for anybody.
You're a wonderful person.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I
Yeah.
know people have to go about their day. We're so sorry for keeping you this long, but we also appreciate you being around and spending time with us today. And yes, I hope you stay connected with the two of us. And we do have things in the works in the future that we're
Definitely.
excited to share.
Thank you. Thank you, Claudia. Everyone have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
Friday. Be safe and enjoy your weekend.
Yes.
Thank you, Claudia.
Bye.
Bye bye.